Political analyst Omry Makgoale says a corrupt ANC and the country's high unemployment rate could help the EFF grow. In an opinion piece, he also asked if the Red Berets could be the exception after previous offshoots failed to take off. Makgoale joins us now to expand on this. Omry, good evening, good to have you, and thank you very much for your time tonight.
Good evening, Tabo, in the newsroom.
Now, we know the political conditions that led to the establishment of the Economic Freedom Fighters. Two leaders who were in the ANC Youth League essentially were expelled in July 2013. They announced that they will be starting the Economic Freedom Fighters. But I suppose one could immediately start there and say, oh, well, that also can be blamed on the ANC, the establishment of the Economic Freedom Fighters. Conditions in Marikana might not have been the cause why they started, but certainly would have been the fuel that was added to the fire. Could you say all these and the addition, of course, of things like state capture, failure to improve the lives of black people are adding towards the Economic Fighter becoming a formidable force, particularly against the African National Congress?
Yes, I think you are right. The main issue was the expulsion. Before the expulsion, probably there would not have been EFF, So that expulsion was critical to the formation of the EFF, because now the former youth league leaders were now left in the limbo, were outside. And so they had to find a home, a new home. And that's why they decided to form a new party. And of course, the fertile ground was there for them to form this new party. Already there was corruption in the ANC at that time. And the other thing, of course, their policies of the economic freedom in our lifetime maybe was not supported very well inside the ANC, because it was the policy of the Youth League. And so the fertile grounds were there for EFF to be formed. But it was the expulsion, not Marikana. Marikana is after. Now,
the conversation becomes that what happened in the ANC that led to, I suppose, Julius Malema becoming the character and the personality that he is that there was a gap. There was, for example, no militant figure that could take him toe to toe. In fact, the fact that a structure like the ANC Youth League for a while was literally disbanded, and there were task teams that were acting. It meant that there was no single creative talent within the pool of ANC leadership that could have taken him on toe to toe. How do you read that? How true was that?
I think I agree. Under the current conditions, that is true. But the main issue, Tabo, I wish to emphasize, the main issue is from the electoral laws. The way the leaders of the Youth League are elected at the moment, or all the structures of ANC, the way the leaders are elected by the minority. So you don't really get the best pool, the best talent inside the organization because of the electoral methods inside the ANC. The delegate system. The delegate system is 2% of ANC members that actually elect leaders. Now, when you consider 2% out of 100%, it means 98% are outside. And so you don't really get the best talent from ANC members, by this method. So you get those that can manipulate the system, those that can manage to manipulate and rig elections inside the ANC. So you don't get the best pool. You don't get the best of ANC. Even at the moment, whether it's the Women's League, the Veterans League, the ANC mother body, you don't get the best talent of ANC because of the electoral methods. And that's how Malema, after he left, the Youth League could not pick up, for some time. And they put in Colin, the other guy, Colin Mayine. He didn't really do much, because he was part of the slates and factions.
Yeah.
But it is the way we elect leaders that denies the ANC to get the best out of ANC members in terms of leadership.
And why do you think that in 10 years, the ANC could not have an effective response to the growing Economic Freedom Fighters to a point where it is now a 10%er. And in fact, they are looking at themselves now saying 2024 is going to be another 1994, where there will be an exact change of power in terms of who's governing. And you can read that however you think, whether it will be possible or not. But certainly they feel they have that kind of confidence. But if you look, for example, at how the economic freedom fighters have managed to grow, and others are saying they are eating up at the ANC's membership, because certainly they are not taking the DA's membership. So EFF and the ANC are swimming in the same pool, so to speak. But the ANC has not been able in 10 years to have an effective response to the EFF.
Yes, I agree with them. The ANC is extremely corrupt at the moment, and because it's extremely corrupt, it becomes an easy prey for EFF. So EFF is preyed on the youth of support from the ANC. Most of the youth league supporters left with Malema and Chivambo, and so the ANC is weak in terms of the youth at the moment because of that. But mainly the issue is corruption. If ANC was ethical, clean, and competent in the way it's running the state, most of these parties would not be there. The EFF or UDM, COPE, all these parties would not have been there if the ANC was ethical, with integrity running, or competently running the state, the infrastructure being maintained properly with professionals in the right places, whether it's Transnet, Eskom, Tenel, all these, most of these parties that I've mentioned would not really be there. But they are there because they are preying on ANC support, and because ANC is extremely corrupt, and the current leadership has not managed to clean the ANC, and maybe they lack the will and the courage to clean the ANC. Because after the State Capture Commission inquiry report from Justice Zondo, he gave them the report, and they've done very little about it. All the recommendations are still there, not being attended to. So they don't have the will and the courage to actually clean the ANC. So as long as the ANC is like this, all these parties will continue to have a life, to prey on the ANC body, prey on the ANC body. The elephant is losing. It's been, chowed left, right, and center.
And would you say one of the weaknesses would be, well, certainly the weaknesses that Julius Malema and the Economic Freedom Fighters are playing on are the weaknesses of the president. I mean, when he came in to Parliament in 2014, he became President Jacob Zuma's strongest critic and campaigned for his removal from office. Now he is Cyril Ramaphosa's strongest critic and criticizing him at every turn that he possibly could find. And when you look at that trend, if indeed the processes of the ANC go like they go, the Deputy President, Paul Mashatile, who we looked at as becoming the next president in 2027, would suffer the same kind of criticism from the Economic Freedom Fighters.
Yes, I mean, EFF is doing that because they want to win support from the voters. And if it will help them to win more support if they attack Ramaphosa, or whether they attack Zuma, they attack Ramaphosa, or they attack the future president, whoever becomes the future president, for them is good because it's politics. They have to get support. And for them to get support, they have to attack the opponent. And in this case, their opponent is the ANC, because they're actually preying on the same pool where the ANC is, the voters of EFF are the same voters of ANC in the past. So, and they have to attack the ANC leadership to show that the ANC leadership is not good enough so that people can support them. It's just normal politics. That is just normal politics. So I expect them to attack Cyril Ramaphosa now more vehemently so that they can get more support and, take more support from the ANC. And I think in next year general elections, they will improve again on their vote because the ANC has not done much about corruption inside. The ANC has not done much. There's no will or courage to address corruption inside the ANC. So EFF, is there to take.
What do you think of the latest posturing, I suppose one would say, of the likes of Fikile Mbalula of attempting to clean. Others are looking at that and saying, oh, well, this is just in a bid to garner some degree of support for 2024. But as you said, there is no degree of seriousness really to deal with this question of corruption.
Yeah, I think the story about Makgoale, it's not really addressing the issue. It's okay to say that in a public platform at the Women's League conference, but that's not enough, and because it actually shows that they have divisions inside the ANC, because they don't necessarily have a common understanding of what the problems are at Transnet, and he thinks that it's Pravin, other people think otherwise. But besides, that is not the way to address problems. According to ANC procedures, we discuss issues internally and come to a common conclusion or consensus as to what is the way forward on every particular issue, whether it's Transnet, ESCOM, or all this. The things are supposed to be discussed internally and have a common understanding and a common solution that is going to be put forward, and no divisions of statement. The fact that Fikile Mbalula was corrected, few hours later, it shows that that was not the best way to handle the matter. So I was not impressed with that.
Yeah. The incoming ANC Youth President, Colin Malachi, I spoke to him yesterday, and he says the ANC needs to go at this alone or be prepared to be backbenchers, basically, to say sit in the opposition and vehemently against the EFF ANC partnership. But do you see the ANC in 2024 that comes in at below 50% partnering with the economic freedom fighters? Or do you see them saying, well, it's fine, good and well, we'll take the back seat?
Look, according to my assessment, next year, after the elections, EFF will still be the third biggest party. And if the ANC, in my assessment, KZN and Gauteng, if KZN and Gauteng ANC goes below 50%, it will need a partner to govern the two provinces. It will need a partner to govern the two provinces, and most likely some of them will be tempted to, court the EFF to do that. Because EFF as the third biggest party will then be an easy partner, but it's going to be a difficult partner because the EFF is going to run the ANC through riots inside, but they are likely to go into coalition with the EFF if they go below 50% in the two provinces. I think the other provinces, rural provinces, the ANC will still win, although with a lower majority, according to my assessment. But Gauteng and KZN, they are on the borderline. And in those two provinces, they are likely to need partners to govern them after next year.
And the others are issues probably, as you mentioned earlier on, are around policy. And South Africa being a mineral, largely mineral-based kind of economy that has not been growing, and South Africa's austerity stance, while there are a number of black poor voters who need to be assisted, and the EFF's ability to play on that. Do you see that being a contributing factor to work against the ANC?
It will contribute, especially to the youth. Remember that the youth, people who are unemployed, and they are told that if we take the mines, you'll get a job immediately, and so on. They are more likely to be, enthusiastic about supporting the EFF. So I think the EFF will get more support from the youth even next year because they offer better, stories in terms of employment. Because the ANC at the moment cannot handle the employment issue. The employment is unemployment is skyrocketing, and the current ANC leadership does not have a plan to actually address this unemployment issue. And so Malema's party has got a chance to prey on that and get more support. So they will get more youth support next year. And I think the current youth league leader of the ANC, Colin Makgoale, he doesn't have much to offer at the moment in terms of taking the support back from Malema and Shivambu and so on. He has a lot to do, at the moment. And of course, the way they were elected is this old way of the delegates. It is not the best talent in the ANC Youth League that has been elected. So because of the method of electing leaders. And until we change it, we can't get the best out of ANC, until we change how we elect leaders internally inside the ANC.
Yeah. So, and do you think there's an appetite to open up that can of worms and to interrogate that conversation? Because, I mean, ANC Women's League also elected its leadership, and one analyst looked at that and said, once again, they don't believe we got the best talent, because it's the way in which these leaders are elected. By and large, it's looked at as a Cyril Ramaphosa-friendly leadership, and that's really all you're going to get from it, as opposed to getting new, fresh ideas that will challenge the status quo.
I fully agree with that. And it all comes back to the 2%. It's the delegates that elect these leaders. It's the delegates, and the delegates is 2% of ANC structure. So 2% of Women's League attended that conference, elected those. 2% of the Youth League of ANC attended that conference, and 2% of ANC members attended the Newzroom conference. So when you look at it, 2%, it's a minority of a minority of a minority. 98% of the population of the members are outside, and out of the 98%, there is more talent. More talent, but the talent is closed outside, is shifted outside. So that's why we don't get the best of leadership in the ANC, because it's the minority of the minority. It's the 2% that actually elects leaders. And as you know, 2% is minority. We fought as ANC. I want to say this, Tabo. As ANC, we fought for majority rule. But at the moment, we don't have majority rule inside the ANC, and we also don't have majority rule in Parliament. It's all minority rule. In Parliament, the citizens are not allowed to elect members of Parliament directly. They're not allowed to elect the president directly. They're not allowed to elect the premier directly. They're not allowed to elect the mayor directly. It's only members of Parliament who are they're appointed by their party list who elect those people. So basically, it's minority rule at the moment. We don't have majority rule in South Africa. Whether it's inside the party, the ANC, or whether it's in Parliament, it's minority rule. And we did not fight for this. We fought for majority rule. So unless we were misled, when people were saying we're fighting for majority rule, unless they were misleading us. But I believe that we fought for majority rule, and we should fight for majority rule even now. Until we get majority rule inside the ANC and in Parliament, we have not yet reached what they call Uhuru. We're not yet there. We're not yet there.
That Omry, much appreciated. Thank you very much for coming on tonight. ANC veteran, the Omry Makgoale, who penned a piece as the economic freedom fighters celebrate their 10th year anniversary, that the economic freedom fighters might keep on growing as long as corruption and huge unemployment is not dealt with by the African National Congress.